Hello, 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 and welcome to another episode of Cubs on Tap. I am Joey Ricotta at Joey Knows Nothing, joined by my good friend Nick Hudson at Nick_on Tap. We are Cubs on Tap. Follow us on Twitter at CUBBIES on Tap. That's Cubbies on Tap. Brian Lefevre, who couldn't wait to join us this evening, was in the comments like, well, we're waiting, and he's actually here. So this is a pleasant surprise. Now I'm just going to go ahead and throw him in here. He was at the game
guys.
today.
Can I get a let's go
Dbacks? Valentine's Day. I meant to add him. I don't know if did he add him? I think I just removed him on accident. There you go. We both clicked the button at the same time. Brian, before I send this over to Nick, how are you doing, my friend?
Hey man, I'm living life right now. Am I still here? Am I not here?
There you go. Yeah, you're here. What's up, Brian?
Okay, I'm just making sure. You freaked me out. You said I was gone again. Anyway, can I get a let's go Dbacks? One time for me. One time.
No.
One time. No? All right.
Let's go Gallon.
I wore it.
Oh, man. That's beautiful. That's beautiful. You didn't get yelled at. I'm surprised. You didn't really get yelled at? You didn't get harassed?
Nah, one drunk guy on the street. That was it. And then everyone else was like, that's such a cool jersey. And I was like, oh, okay. So
you don't see that very often. Were you okay? Because I was one of those kids, so that's why I'm going to ask. Were you one of those kids that were like, would you replicate or try to imitate some of the crazy batting stances? I know this is, Counsell it's different being a D-backs fan than it is. Like when he was with the Brewers, I hated him, obviously. But like he had one of those stances I feel like everybody just tried to imitate.
Oh,
Are you one of those kids?
I was that kid. I was that kid today. I got my beer bat. All right. Oh, yeah, there we go. Yep. So I was in the stance. I was doing it.
Oh, there it is.
Get the arms up. I was doing it. I imitated everyone. Yeah, for sure.
The Gary Sheffield.
Anyway, I just wanted to jump in and say what's up and gloat a little bit because I know tomorrow is going to be pain when Justin Steele is on the mound. But you know what? I'm feeling good. We weren't supposed to win Thursday, but we did. Probably shouldn't have won today. The wind has been kind to us.
Yeah. You know what?
So we'll take it.
You're welcome to stick around this entire show because if there's anybody that knows the Diamondbacks, it's you being an avid Rattlesnakes fan here in Chicago, which I don't know. I only know one other person. Only one other of my friends is a Diamondbacks fan. So like getting a D-backs fan perspective, I think for the series makes a lot of sense. And I don't know how I wasn't expecting today to go well at all with Gallon on the mound. And our friend Tyler in the Slack channel, he was saying he checked the calendar and Galentine's Day is not a holiday. He just had to double check that. So but it felt like a holiday today. So
yeah, every 5 days is Galentine's Day. Tyler is incorrect. Although I will say Zach Gallen pitching at 11:20-ish Arizona time has not been good this year away from Arizona. So I was actually very surprised by this start today because his away starts at what would normally be like 11 a.m. in Arizona have not been good this year at all. So it kind of came out of nowhere, in my opinion. But
I saw that he had what was his road ERA, like over 5 or something coming into today? Or
yeah.
That's crazy.
Pretty garbage. Yeah.
That's crazy. Because he's been lights out, man. Like this dude's one of the absolute premium pitchers in the league. And I'm jealous that you guys have him because if you have that dude, just like Justin Steele, I mean, I guess like they're two different types of pitchers. Gallon gets a lot more strikeouts generally, but just watching him pitch is just incredible. I didn't realize he had that major of splits though from home to road. But before we dive in even deeper, I didn't even say how you doing to Nick. Nick,
sorry, I kind of took over.
If you're more technologically sound like you are, Brian, I would have been able to just like quickly transition and get you in here and then go back to that. But I'm not. So like you have to come in here and I have to accidentally remove you and then bring you back in. Nick, how the hell are you doing, my friend?
I'm doing well, man. I'm happy for Brian's D-backs. They got 2. It's Friday. You can't be too upset on a Friday. So we're going into these next two. I hope we can salvage them and even it up.
Hopefully, I know. Like I said, I wasn't really expecting this one to be a victory today with Gallon on the mound and Tyon, who we never expect. We never know what's going to happen with him. He's been awful lately. And you look at it and the wind's blowing in and you're like, okay, well, what's Tyon been struggling with? He's been struggling with the home runs lately. So today I'm like, okay, maybe there is a chance, even though Gallon's on the mound. And Tyon gets you into that sixth inning with only one hit. He had no hits allowed until the sixth inning, 5 2/3, I believe, and then gives up the first hit. But for a while, it was back and forth between him and Gallon of who's going to give up the first hit. And I think they both had like 6 strikeouts through 3 or 4 innings. So also, I mean, I know Brian was in the bleachers today and having a great time out there. There were some other names, some big names you were joined by out there, Brian. You had Theo Epstein out there, Cubs legend, obviously known for putting together the World Series championship Cubs team and all those great teams that they had over the years, starting in 2015. But he was out there sitting next to Blackhawks legend, and we're not going to mention the other team he played for, Chris Chelios, out there sitting right next to him. And then there was a picture on Twitter of this guy. I know his name. I've seen him before. He was like in the bleachers right behind him, just picking the shit out of his nose. He was dancing with the boogie, doing a little boogie dance. Like, I don't know who that guy was right behind Theo and those guys, but just some vibes today. There were some vibes out there in the bleachers. So, Brian, give us your perspective about just how the game shaped out. I know you're happy with the outcome, but how was the game with the wind and everything involved?
It was great, honestly. Like I was there with my cousin, and we were just hanging out in the bleachers, talking and about various things. And I think Corbin led off with a walk, so that was like the only base runner the whole game for a while. And then when Gallon hit, who did he hit? He hit someone. Can't remember. That's when I realized, hey, there's only been 2 base runners. Like, this is kind of wild. And I think for me, I wanted Gallon to have a no-hitter. I didn't think that he would, just based on like how he's been pitching. And that Cubs lineup is, I mean, that's a tough one to no-hit anyway. But I thought maybe with the way things were going, it could happen. But yeah, like I said, vibes were good. No, everyone was nice to me. I was the only Diamondbacks fan, I think, in the bleachers that I could see anyway. Everyone else that I saw with like Diamondbacks gear, they were kind of more incognito with their gear. I think I saw 2 Serpientes jersey, but I didn't see them until like I was outside of the stadium. But yeah, it was great. It was a great game. Good pitcher's duel, which means tomorrow with Justin Steele and Merrill Kelly, it's not going to be a pitcher's duel.
Yeah, it's gonna be
I know that's
blowing out or something.
Yeah, something crazy is going to happen tomorrow. They'll probably like both teams will score like 10 runs or something. I have no idea, but yeah, it was incredible. I was like, man, what's going on with Tyon today? He actually he looks really good. And I was kind of getting upset. Also, I don't know if you guys were able to watch it like live too much, but the umpire, a lot of people were kind of they were upset with the home plate umpire a bunch of times. I think Hap got called out on a questionable check swing. I know Christian Walker had a couple that he didn't like that he got called out on. So I think it was going both ways, but yeah, it was a tough game for the batters today. And if it wasn't for a couple inches on Seiya Suzuki's sliding attempted catch, I think, yeah, definitely could have ended a different way.
I really thought that he caught that. And yeah, I don't know. It was a pitcher's day today, all the way around, whether it be the umpires, the great pitching performances. I thought Seiya had it at first. Of course, the replay showed otherwise, and he didn't have it. But Nick said it before we jumped on here that what were you thinking when Corbin Carroll came up? Like, you were
as soon as I saw Corbin Carroll come up with runners, in scoring position, I was like, yeah, this is gonna happen. This game's not gonna stay tied. And then sure enough, but at first I also thought he caught it. I got very excited. I was, are you kidding me? And then the further review, nope. So disappointing.
Yeah. Yeah, the stadium actually, so like when they first showed the replay, everyone was like, yeah, he caught it. but then they showed it again and they actually stopped it and like zoomed in where the ball was like touching the ground, and then it was just like everything just kind of everyone's like, oh, okay. All right, we'll just wait here. Yeah, we'll just like wait for New York to give us the call. And I was sitting there going, come on, it's so clear. Give us the call. You can see
it took way longer than they
right here. Yeah. But,
I didn't know why they took so long, but
I mean, they look at every angle. It's actually like on Dbacks broadcast, because they're being broadcast by the MLB now. They actually show you in the control room in New York, like what it looks like when they're looking at replay reviews. And they have like this camera on a slider, and it kind of goes by, and they're like, that's the computer right there. That's the view that they're looking at. Those are all the angles. And you can see like they have like different boxes, and they can like zoom in on different angles and figure out like what's happening. So they definitely take their time, and they are looking at every possible angle to make sure that they get the call right.
See, so, I wish go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I was just gonna say, which like when they first, like one of the first years they implemented it, there was a play at the plate in San Francisco that ended a game for the D-backs when Paul Goldschmidt scored, like clear as day. And they even showed it on the replay, like his foot was on home plate before he got tagged. And they went to the review and they kept saying, oh, the New York doesn't have the right angle. They have different angles. They probably can't see it. And they called him out. And I was like, wait, what are we doing here? We have angles in the stadium or in this broadcast that are different than what New York has. So it didn't make sense to me. But now apparently, I don't know, maybe they rectified that and they have like every possible angle as possible. But yeah.
I don't know. It's weird because there was that one game this year, and it's happened like maybe a couple times this season that I can remember. One of them was Cody Bellinger was the 9th inning. Cubs had some momentum. I think it was this in Cincy? I want to say it was this past weekend in Cincy. Last weekend, Bellinger, so Happ hit a home run in the 9th inning, solo shot, and then Bellinger gets up, and it looks like you're going to put some momentum on the Reds, and he's got an infield single, and it looked like they called him safe on the field, and then the replay didn't show anything that was different. So I'm just wondering, I'm like, all right, where's the different angle that we need to see? Because like nothing that we saw on the TV broadcast showed that they could overturn that, and then they came back and overturned it, and I'm like, all right, what are you seeing here? Like, because we're not seeing that. So you guys, like, well, being a D-backs, watching the D-backs all the time, like you must get better angles or like more of the angles than we get watching just marquee or something. Because I don't know why that is. But I feel like it's happened a couple times this year where it's just, and it drives me nuts. I'm like, there's no possible way from the angles that we saw that you showed, they can overturn that. But I know, like, from their perspective, having all of them, they've got the best ones possible. So it drives me nuts.
I mean, it's definitely interesting because, like, you know, when you look at like someone like John Boy and he does his lip readings and he has like all these different angles that, like, where did he get that? And he literally combs through the 2 different broadcasts, and like even similar to what like Tim Anderson, when apparently he said, I hate this effing place or whatever, whole controversy. I did the same thing where I looked at, I think it was Houston's broadcast. And so when I did our video for that, I was able to grab like different angles and, you know, closer stuff so that we could see his lips moving. So I think both broadcasts either have different cameras that they're using or just like they, you know, because I mean, they have two different directors, I guess. So they're going to different cameras all the time. So I guess MLB, with them running the broadcast for the Diamondbacks, I think they're also doing the Padres right now too. So I guess maybe they have more access to that stuff. But even Steve Berthume will mention that, like, oh, we don't have this angle in the broadcast, but you can see what they're looking at in the replay booth. So yeah.
That's pretty interesting, though. Yeah, we need that for the Cubs games. I want to see those angles. I want to see what they can see when they're looking at all this stuff. But, yeah, I guess we can get into it. Anybody that doesn't know, by the way, Brian Lefevre, I'm saying that right? It's Lefevre.
Yes, sir.
Fever, catch it. Follow him on Twitter at Lefevre Fever, and that's Lefevre, and then spelled out fever at the end. This is our video guy. This is the guy that makes us look good for all the short clips that he puts together so we can put them on social media, all the stuff that he puts together for YouTube, all those shortcuts that you see, the funny stuff, the ridiculous stuff like me correctly pronouncing Bochy, and then Ron saying it's incorrect. But all that stuff, this is the guy that's orchestrating that and behind all that. We didn't have a show last night because I've been a little under the weather. I'm a little bit breathy still, but I'm feeling better today. Nick, give me your thoughts, though. Give me your thoughts on today's game, yesterday's game. It's 2 losses in a row here to the Dbacks. We've been snake bitten a little bit here, first 2 games of a 4-game set. What are your thoughts here?
Yeah, a little snake bitten. Yesterday, pure pain for sure. Didn't like the outcome at all. Was not having a good time with that ball game. Today, like you said, Jamison Tyone, happily surprised with the way he went out there, and a formidable opponent like Gallen, like that's tough. I thought I was going to get right in his head, and he was really going to struggle and not be able to command anything, but he looked sharp, and it's just unfortunate we couldn't string just a couple more things together just to get 1 or 2 runs up there. I think 1 could have won it. So, yeah, the last 2 games have been disappointing, but looking forward, I think that we could bounce back from this. Hopefully the Brewers lose tonight. I don't know what the score is right now, but hopefully we get some help with scoreboards.
We're going to need it because, it was game and a half out coming into the series, and then you lose the first 2 games, and now you're not feeling so good about where the division is. Still feeling good about playoff hopes, obviously, but Assad was so good. I think he was second in the majors in ERA from, what was it, mid-July, I want to say, or was it early August, maybe August 1st, going into his last start. So 3 earned runs allowed on Thursday. Nothing too terrible, but obviously wasn't going to get the job done when you're allowing 6 runs all together with the bullpen. Keegan obviously got sent back down today with Brad Boxberger getting activated off the 60-day IL, which Boxberger hadn't pitched, still hasn't pitched since May 13th, I want to say. It was somewhere in that range that he hasn't pitched. So good to see him back, but kind of sucks that Keegan's back down. I don't know if that's an indictment on his last outing, but probably more so they just feel better about Boxberger coming in. And then obviously when Keegan throws close to 50 pitches, he's going to be down a couple days anyway. So they'll probably figure that out later on. But yeah, first game, it is what it is. Interested to hear your thoughts though, Brian, about how, because Ryan Nelson, right? It was his debut. That first game.
Not his debut. Not his
What's
debut,
that?
but
It wasn't his debut.
not his
Okay.
debut. Oh yeah. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you.
Yeah, no, I didn't know. I wasn't sure. I hadn't actually seen him pitch yet, so I thought he looked pretty good, though. I thought he looked really good on Thursday. So, what have you seen out of that kid? Do you think a lot of the Cubs struggles offensively were due to him, or was it Cubs just not hitting pitches?
So it's interesting. Ryan Nelson, when he came up earlier this year and pitched, so he's kind of been the reverse Zach Gallen. At home, he's been awful. On the road, he's been really good. He had 2 sort of bad games on the road. One of them was in Detroit, and I think that was the one where he gave up 6 runs, and that's when they sent him back down. And what they asked him to do was to fix the shape on his cutter and slider so that that's what they wanted him to work on. And they just wanted to be a little sharper, a little bit and use that more as his out pitch, So then they felt like they could bring him back up and have because they've been doing bullpen starts, bullpen, openers for a couple, I think for the last month, the Diamondbacks have. So it's nice to actually have him back. So yeah, I expected a decent game out of him, at least just based on how he's pitched this year. I didn't expect what we got last night, and his cutter slider combo that, it was looking good last night. So there were a few balls, I will say, it's been a couple of games like that now for the Diamondbacks where exit velos have expected batting averages of over 300 or whatever. And they just kind of going our way right now. So it's a little bit of luck last night. But again, the wind for whatever reason would blow out for our home, like our fly balls. It just blew in for fly balls because he gave up some hard hit balls. And then Jordan Lawler made a great play at short on the one. I think that was the Nico Horner.
That was
shot up the middle.
fantastic.
Yeah. Which I mean, that had me, I was really surprised because I think like coming into the season, you know, we were talking, like, I didn't say we, but like the talk was that Lawler could see some time in like towards the end of the year, but he really needed to work on his defense. And because like the hole at third base, people weren't sure if they'd have him like fill in there, which there has been kind of some talk that he might. But either way, yeah. But for as far as Ryan Nelson goes, I think he took to heart like what the coaches asked him to do down in AAA and really worked at it, and it showed last night. I think that's a big reason for his success, with mixed in with a little bit of luck, because some of those balls were rockets off the bat that just stayed in the yard or were right at fielders.
Yeah, I remember a few of those balls that I'm just like, oh, come on. And then you guys had some that just dropped in there that were like that shouldn't be a hit. Like that's a good pitch, you know, and it's just baseball. That happens, you know. I can only be mad at the baseball gods when that happens. Like you can't really get too upset about anything else. But I love what you're saying about Ryan Nelson. I know he was really highly thought of going into the season. Like there was a lot of hype surrounding him, and I hadn't had a chance to even see him pitch at all this year. So to hear that he was working on some things and then came back, and he did look pretty damn disgusting for the most part. So you guys might have a good one there. Nick, somebody's yelling at you in the comments here.
That's my nephew. That's my nephew, Lucas.
Oh, your nephew, Lucas. Lucas, Nick, I'm back. And then Darren was also talking about Seiya too here in the comments. Man, Seiya, 2 of 3 hits today. Hope he can keep this streak going. Yeah, I hope so too. Seiya is red hot. He is on fire. He was hitting last night too. The guy is just on an absolute heater. I think if it's not him or it's Bellinger, though, that's what you're kind of seeing with this Cubs lineup right now. It's Bellinger and it's Seiya Suzuki, and if it's not one of those two guys or both of those guys on a game-to-game basis, that's when you see the Cubs really run into these struggles. So I'll toss it to you real quick, Nick. Who do you think really – I mean, you could talk about Seiya if you want a little bit here.
Yeah.
But who do you think needs to step up for the Cubs kind of maybe just in the short term here? Like, obviously, we know in the long run we want everybody to be clicking and hitting. But who needs to step up here in the short term to kind of pick things up and not rely so much on Seiya and Belly?
Yeah. I mean, to touch on Seiya a little bit, it's been so great to see him and what this Cubs organization has done for that turnaround during this year. They just did such a good job. They got him some rest, and then they selectively picked out, matchups to where they built his confidence back up, and you can really see he's a lot more confident out there. But that's been really good, like you said, and it's been something that's necessary because, like you said, Bellinger or Suzuki now. I personally would like to see the Horner-Swanson combo start to pick up offensively, for sure. It's just you're right. It can't be a two-dimensional type of thing. You got to keep this Cubs team is best when they just keep getting stringing hits together, and that's when they can beat any single team, in my opinion. And when that lineup is all the way through top to bottom, they can just basically kill you with small cuts. Death by 1,000 cuts, basically.
Yeah, I agree. I think a lot of it, though, is we need a little bit more power from the other guys. And like, the other night, Candelario had the home run not that long ago, but he's overall been pretty damn cold. And that's worrying me because that was your big trade acquisition at the deadline. That was your big bat that you went out and got. That was probably the best bat available on the trade market, which kind of goes to show you what kind of trade market it was from a hitting perspective for buyers to go out and get. Because normally, like, I don't think anyone would be thinking, oh, Jeimer Candelario is the best bat on the trade market deadline this year going into the season, right? You're not thinking that. But it's just he was having a great season. And it's not that he's having a bad season now. It's just he's really struggling lately. And so I would like to see him and Swanson. I think Swanson's really struggling. Darren agreed with you there in the comments too. Those two guys I think really need to pick it up because, and I think they will. I don't think this is a long-term struggle thing that's going to happen, but in order for this team to be that much well-rounded or more well-rounded, at least from a hitting perspective, you can't just be slapping the ball around and just relying on stolen bases because as we saw today, yes, the Cubs are one of the best at stealing bases. They are one of the more aggressive teams, but we saw today, great young catcher in Gabriel Moreno. Hopefully I said his name right. I think it's Moreno. Great young catcher who gunned out two guys today. So now I'll kick it back over to Brian. Was it smart for the Cubs to try to run as much as they have been all season on Gabriel Moreno, or was that just like was it a good planned move with this close of a game and you just ran into a really good catcher and just good baseball?
Yeah, so Gabby has been really successful at throwing out runners all year. I like to say not run on Gabby whatsoever. It depends on who's pitching though, because I know when I think Brandon Fogg's last start, and Gabby was catching, he gave up a couple stolen bases, but I think Fogg was a little slow to the plate on those, and I think that's the only time I've really seen him this year like let runners go, which actually led to the loss against the Rockies because he was trying to catch up to there was a runner stealing third, and he was trying to move a little too fast, knowing that runner was probably going to get there, and he threw the ball in left field. That's like the only time I've ever seen him do that. But yeah, so I would say don't run on Gabby. Yeah, both of those guys. I think Seiya was one of them. Was it Nico the other? I can't remember now.
Oh, it was Mastroboni.
Oh, it was Mastroboni. That's right. Yeah, when I saw them bring him in as a pinch runner, I was like, well, I don't know how fast Mastroboni is, but I don't see them having him steal. And then, I didn't think that was a smart move. Like, I get it. You want him in scoring position. You're down one. You need him there. Avoid the double play. But yeah, I didn't think he was the right guy for that.
I forget who he was even pinch running for. Obviously, I can check that all week. It was Jamer.
I think it was Jamer.
Yeah. I think it was because Jamer almost hit into a double play, but he got to first, and then they pinch ran with Miles.
Who was still on the bench, though? They still had Canario. They had I'm trying to think of who else, like speed-wise, who they'd be able to – like I feel like Canario, I know he had the injury before the season and then missed a lot of time and then obviously was just getting hot before his call-up. But I feel like Canario – sneakily has wheels. Like that's a guy that can steal bases. So maybe maybe you don't want to be running him right now, especially where he's kind of fresh and hasn't played that many games, even in the minors this season. But maybe Canario would have been the better bet to run there. But yeah, when you're stealing on a guy like Moreno, I mean, that's just super tough it's a tough ask. I get it with a 1-run game, but running yourself into an out is also not smart. Like the small ball baseball with bunting, I don't like that necessarily either, but I don't know. I also saw before we hopped on here that Bryson Stott stole MLB's 3,000th steal tonight. It was the 3,000 steal. First time since 2012 that there's been 3,000 steals in a season. So that's, like, the game has really shifted. We've seen it all year with how many steals are happening, how aggressive teams are being with the new rule changes and all that. So it's pretty fun to see. But I don't know. What do we do from here though? Like, obviously we know like Tyon was good. He was great today. I was kind of upset that Ross pulled him out at like 77 pitches when he's rolling like he is. And then you bring in Jose Quaz today, who, granted, 0.6 ERA or whatever his ERA is over his last, since becoming a Cub or whatever the term is. But his numbers are very, very lucky. Like this guy walks everybody, and he just yes, he has a crazy ground ball rate, and he's got a funky delivery, but it's not consistent at all. And you saw him get the base runners up there. I don't blame Mark Leiter Jr. at all coming into that situation. I thought he was actually pretty good, but I don't know. Do you guys think that Ross pulled the plug a little too soon on JMO? And I kind of understand why with the trust factor, but you think he was smart to pull him out today?
Yeah, I mean, when I was watching it live, I thought that it was too early of a pull. And then when I saw that Quas was coming in, I was very much against it because, like you said, the control issues, and you're going into a game with it's 0-0, very high pressure situation where you can't afford any walks. It's been a very clean ball game. So to bring in a guy like that, I thought it was just not the right move. I would have seen leader right away. I think that's better because it is a high leverage moment. You're talking about a 0-0 baseball game. So if you went straight to leader in that moment, I think you have a less of a bad thing, but I still think it was wrong to take him out. He was rolling and he had things relatively under control in that moment. So I thought he would have gotten out of it.
The guy allowed one walk.
It seemed like Ross pulled a Tory. Honestly, like that's a Tory move where if a guy is struggling and he pitches like that or is playing that way, he'll pull him early because he wants him to leave on a positive note. So I think it seemed like a real Tory Lovella move in my opinion. I was actually surprised when they took him out too because I was watching. I was like, wait, why'd they change pitchers? Like, and he wasn't even at 80 pitches yet, and we had a nice pitchers duel going. So, yeah.
I didn't too, like looking at who they brought in, I loved them bringing in Merriweather first. But if you get just even that one more inning, right? If you get them through 7, and then you have Merriweather, Leiter, Alzolay, like to me, and to your point, Nick, going directly to Leiter, like that makes it so much easier for you to close that gap, bridge the game. Now, no guarantees you're going to get any runs, and obviously they didn't get any runs against Gallon, who, made it a traditional holiday today. But, like, at least that way it's a 0-0 game possibly going into 9 innings, and then you don't know what's going to happen. So, very frustrating, I think, just to see. And I don't want to get too down on Quas either because I think he could be good, and I don't think he hasn't been bad. I know I'm looking at like expected numbers more so than like traditional ERA, but like when you're talking about a guy that's walking close to 20% of the batters he's faced since being in a Cubs uniform or whatever the stats are, that's not trustworthy. I'm sorry. I don't care what his ERA is. I don't want a guy that's in there walking close to 20% of batters and in the game in a crucial moment. I can't. My blood pressure can't take it. I've been sick the last 2 days. I'm just getting a little bit better. But I'll tell you right now, like when I saw that today, I wanted to go back to sleep and just say, fuck the world. Like, I'm in the game with the walking guys and just, I don't know. But neither here nor there. I guess final thoughts, though. We'll start with Brian. I know you had a great time out there. I'm glad that you had a good time, got to see a W. Final thoughts on today's game. It wasn't as fun for me and Nick.
So first off, I just want to say thanks again for the tickets because the only reason I got to go today is because the Cubs on Tap guys got me a couple tickets for the game as a nice little thank you. And so, I really appreciate it. I was very happy to go. I did not expect like this type of game. I didn't even expect Gallen to get a W and go a complete game, just the way he's been pitching away and from Arizona. So real happy about it. It was, it's a good pitcher's duel. It was an incredible game in and out. I think it was only like just over 2 hours long too. It was a nice quick game. I got my beer bat just in time in the 6th inning. I actually, like when I left, I went in between innings, and then by the time we got back, we were already in the bottom of the 7th. because I had to walk all the way around the stadium to go get it. But yeah, it was a fun time for sure. Back to Quas for a second, like the Diamondbacks hitters, I think to give more light on that move. I mean, he was facing the bottom of the order, so that included Lawler, who, he's only got one hit so far. I mean, obviously small sample size. It's been 2 games. But I think it makes sense in that sense. And also because Diamondbacks hitters, when I went to get the beer bat, like that was one of the quickest innings that they had, that like top of the 7th, I think. And they were just like, all of a sudden the inning was over. And that was like not even before I got to where we were trying to get the beer bat around the.
What that Merriweather smoke will do to you, baby. Don't mess around with Merriweather. That guy's got a cannon. So
I think maybe in Ross's eyes, like, well, if they're swinging early at pitches, we could probably bring in this kid and have him face the bottom of the order. Maybe that was the thought. I'm obviously just reading into things, but the Diamondbacks do have a penchant for not being patient. And that's been like a lot of the games they've lost this year is because they've been too aggressive at the plate. So it was nice to actually see them take those walks. But again, thank you guys so much. It was a beautiful day. Also, I did get Alec Thomas's autograph after the game. That was pretty cool. Got to see him. I said what up to Paul Sewald and Bob Brenly. Like I have a friend who goes autograph hunting, and he was like, "Yo, I'll be out there." So I met up with him, and he had like a binder full of cards and stuff. And I was like, "Wow, this is nuts," and definitely like a scene that I'm not like. I'm like, you think of like getting autographs, it's like a kid thing to do, And there's all these adults. And there's a funny thing. This guy actually, he like put on a Diamondbacks hat, and then when Alec Thomas came out, he was like, "Hey, Alan," and I was like, "Oh my god!" Like this guy, clearly not a fan, just in it to like for the money or whatever. But anyway. It was good. I even got to say what up to I'm sure you're one of your favorite pitchers, guys, Zach Davies. Yeah, he was great for the Cubs, right?
He was great. He was excellent. You know what? His most memorable time here ever.
Yeah, I mean, he's had some good starts for the Diamondbacks. His last one was a pretty bad clunker. I don't even think he made 3 innings in that one. But anyway, so beautiful day, perfect end of the day, getting Alec Thomas's autograph and getting to say what's up to him. So thanks again. I appreciate it. Thanks for letting me crash the party. I know I didn't say that I was going to be here. I'm sorry if I like derailed whatever plans you guys had, but I just wanted to gloat a little bit.
We didn't have these plans. We're glad that you're here because what better way than to have somebody that was boots on the ground there in the bleachers and being a Diamondbacks fan that can like talk about like that point you just made. That's a great point about Quas with the control issues facing the bottom of the order and then facing a team that doesn't have a lot of patience. Like those are things I don't track the Diamondbacks enough to know those things too. So like just that little bit of insight right there is awesome that you're able to provide. And I'm glad you guys had a great time. I'm glad you were autograph hunting and got Alec Thomas's, and you had a binder full. I remember all my little binders with the, I wish I could go back and do that sometimes. But now, like you said, sometimes you feel like, well, I probably shouldn't be doing that. But it's like, whatever. Who cares, man? It's fun.
Yeah.
You get to see your guys. And, God, Ron's in the comments right now, too. He's having PTSD with Zach Davies. So,
Davies almost ruined Hendricks.
He almost ruined all of our lives, to be honest. But, he says Cubs on Tap is always a gong show. Always a pleasure seeing Mr. Lefevre on the show. Yeah, you've been on before, right? You've been on with like Ron, and you've been on definitely been on before. Okay. Yeah. So, but first time I think me and you and Nick have all done a show. Me and Nick now the Fridays are becoming like a Friday special. It's like the Nick at Night and Joey show on Fridays now, which is awesome.
Yeah.
But yeah, Nick, any of your final thoughts here for Friday's game?
Yeah. First, it was great having. Yeah. No, it's great having you, Brian. It was great to get your perspective and everything. It was cool you had a good time at the friendly confines. Sounds like everyone was friendly enough. But overall disappointing 2 games. I kind of have a meh feeling because I really thought that we'd be competitive with this division coming in 1.5. But I'm not going to give up hope on the division. I'm not going to give up hope with the Cubs, obviously. And I think these next 2 games, they just got to strap it down and get some good offense going and just try to put up great offensive numbers, honestly. Make it easy.
Hopefully, man. Make it easy is right. Tomorrow, Justin Steele is obviously going to be on the mound for the Diamondbacks. I know you know this, Brian, but that's Merrill Kelly. You did say this earlier. You did say it earlier. That's a good pitching matchup. Like that should be in theory a good pitching matchup. But watch, it's going to be 20 miles per hour blowing out wind or something crazy. Yeah. I would like to see Justin Steele throw another freaking gem and put himself even further, solidifying himself as a potential Cy Young. Before we go, we have to have this little debate. Now, I'm going to shout out Ron real quick because I do like this comment. Nick, hashtag Nick and Joey Off the Rails is the Friday show name now. See, I can't even read because I'm telling you, I'm out of breath. Like I am bad. I am out of breath these last 2 days. Should be an incredible game. But we got to talk about the Cy Young race. I know you watch a ton of baseball, Brian. Like you don't just watch the D-backs. You're forced to kind of pay attention to the Cubs and to the Sox because of what you do here at OnTapSports.com. Quick plug. Check out all the Chicago Cubs, and Chicago sports content at OnTapSports.com. But I talked to both of you about this, starting with Brian. Cy Young. Like Justin Steele, we're biased. Like, I'll be the first one to say that. We are biased. We are, hands down, Justin Steele is our Cy Young. But I look at in the outside scope of things, and I understand the argument for Spencer Strider, who just had a bad start recently. I understand the argument for even a Zach Gallen. I understand the argument for Zach Wheeler. I understand the argument for Blake Snell. There's one I'm probably missing in there. But who's the Cy Young, Brian? I need to hear some. What's that?
I said those are the guys. That's the race right there. That's Snell, Wheeler, Gallen, and Steele. And if I'm going, so my argument with Tyler a couple of weeks ago was that based on innings, it would be Gallen. But then he went on to have 2 really like clunker starts. So I feel like if anything, he's probably in like 3rd or 4th at this point. I think Snell is starting to pull away, but Justin Steele, again, I think if he didn't miss that time and he was continuing to do what he's doing, I think that's the only thing holding him back. I saw a tweet the other day where it was talking about the MVP race because the debate between Mookie and Acuna right now, and they had like a sheet that said like what the voters actually look for, and like one of the pieces of the criteria was games played. So that's where like I think the innings, the missing innings, I think hurts Steele. But I would not be upset. I would not be mad at all if Justin Steele won it. I think he's so deserving of it, just in terms of like consistency in his outings. I think he's only had like one, not even like really bad outing, but like one that was not like balls of steel or whatever this year that I've seen. And it might've been before he got hurt. So yeah, I think if it were me voting, and this is a Diamondbacks fan, I don't know that Zach is at the top anymore. 2 weeks ago I would have said yes, but now I think Snell and Steele are at the top. I think Wheeler's still kind of down. I don't know if he's the one that deserves it as much. I mean, he's had a great year, but I think it's between Snell and Steele at this point.
He pitches a shit ton of innings. I think with Wheeler is like really what props him up to, which, I mean, again, great season, but I'm with you. I don't know if Wheeler's really there. Nick, I feel like I know what your answer is going to be, but what do you think? Like, is it Steele? Yeah. Is Brian onto something?
Yeah, I mean, it's gonna be a toss up between Snell and Steele for sure. I'm leaning more. I mean, I would be obviously Steele for sure. I think that if it was all correctly done, it should be Steele. If you look at him as a player and what he's gone through to get to this point, it should be Steele. But like you said, there's a lot of things that factor into it. I think the time missed, it does impact him a little bit, but the next couple starts are going to be huge as well. So we'll have to see what happens with that. But I think right now it is Steele versus Snell and kind of what's going to happen there. It's exciting. I think Steele has had a hell of a year, and that's an understatement.
Yeah,
I kind of feel bad for the Padres. I just saw a stat that they have the lowest ERA in like the National League, and their record is terrible. Like, oh my gosh,
it's crazy too because we look at all these indicators, right? Like their run differential for basically the whole season has been pretty good, and they're not winning. They just find different ways to lose games, and yeah, it sucks for them. I don't know. They've had a very strange season. But to that point too, I know we were talking about games played and innings, and it's very traditional that way, right? Like the Cy Young is looked at as a very traditional, like people are given all these metrics of like, oh, ERA plus, like Steele is, I think, atop the list in ERA plus out of those names, or he's very closing up there. But as far as like innings pitched too, what if I told you guys now that Blake Snell is at 155 innings pitched, and Steele's now getting closer to him, 152 innings pitched? Does that make a difference now that we look at this? And because the voters, right, they're not going to look at ERA plus. They're not going to look at – they will look at strikeouts, like the main categories like you were saying, Brian, like ERA, wins, strikeouts. I think WHIP will be one of those deciding categories too. Steele's up there in wins. He's up there in quality starts. ERA is very close. Where Gallen and Wheeler and even Strider, it's the innings pitched, it's the strikeouts, and it's the WAR. But are they going to be looking at WAR too? Like that's another – I think that's a really tricky debate when you talk about pitchers too, because wins above replacement can also be looked at as how many games you've played too that you were able to earn that much WAR. Now, to kind of accumulate it. Like if Steele were playing or pitching in more games and playing more games, if, like you said, if he didn't go through that span of time where he was hurt, his WAR would be just as high, I think. Yeah, the strikeouts prop them up a little bit, but run prevention to me, I think, is a huge thing. So, I mean, I know we're biased here. Like I said, that's why I wanted the outside opinion, and I think there's a reason why Blake Snell is, I think for the most part, he's the favorite right now in most markets. So it's a good discussion. Like I love this kind of discussion to see where everybody else is at. Balls of steel. I love how you tossed in the balls of steel part there too, because we do say that quite a bit over here. So it's nice to see that that's kind of rubbing off. But yeah, what do you guys? I don't know. I got one more question too. What did you eat? What'd you eat? You had a beer bat. What'd you get out in the bleachers?
I had an Italian sausage, some peppers on it. After the game, we went to Shake Shack, and I got Smoke Shack. So that was some cherry peppers and bacon. And my doctor won't be happy with me, but it is what it is. I was out there. I had to.
Dude, doctors can piss off until your next appointment. That's all right.
That's right. Yeah, I got 3 months to work it off.
Yeah. If you got 3 months, you already got one scheduled out, you're good. You're good. Nick, what's your go-to? Like when you go to the games, what's your go-to? Dog? What are you getting?
Yeah, I usually get a dog, Polish with some onions, and then the garlic parm fries. Oh, I love those garlic parm fries. Those are so good.
I'm traditional. I got to get the dog, but I do love the Polish, and I love the I think I had pork nachos not too long ago too, or earlier in the season. The pork nachos. Have you tried those?
I haven't. That sounds good.
Banging.
Yeah, those are good.
Yeah, I mean, anything with pork in it to me is good. So, put that on the nachos. They got to be good. Ron
I always
agrees.
forget that Hot Dogs is back there, and the bleachers too. Hot Dogs is fantastic if you want like gourmet hot dogs for sure. I used to live by, and I used to live in Andersonville where Hot G Dog was, and that was like I think it was the Cooks at Hot Dogs. They opened that up after Hot Dogs closed, and the duck foie gras dog and the duck fat fries, like that stuff was so good. I had gator there. They had like a gator dog that was really delicious.
Dang.
So yeah, I
like actual gator meat.
You haven't had that stuff. Yeah, it was yummy.
Never had that. That sounds good though. See, I like a little bit of. I like the gator bites. Like always, I will mess around with some gator bites. So gator dog. What about you, Nick? You getting into some gators?
I've had gator bites. I'm a big fan of gator bites, so a gator dog sounds good. Admittedly, I love seafood. Like it's my favorite thing ever. So
Same.
I could go for that. That sounds good.
Seafood and southern food, just any southern food for me was like a big Cajun spice guy, jambalaya, gumbo. Like,
Ooh.
dude, we're getting into a whole different conversation now. This is not baseball anymore. But the next two games, so we have Steele, we have Merrill Kelly tomorrow, and then on Sunday, I didn't look at Sunday's matchup. That's probably Hendricks, right?
Yeah, it's Hendricks.
Yep,
I forget
it's Hendricks.
For the
Hendricks and
Diamondbacks.
who?
I
can't
remember.
pronounce.
Oh, Fat.
Brandon. Fat.
Oh yeah,
Fat.
Fat. Yeah.
Yep.
Fat.
Yeah.
I like Fat better.
I always look at it and then I'm like, oh yeah, that's the sound.
Well, we're talking all kinds of we're being fat kids loving cake over here, just talking about food and southern food and dogs and gator bites and gator dogs, and Ron's just a big sucker for food, and he says, "See Nick and Joey off the rails." Comment. Yeah, and you know what? That's the last time I mention your comments on here, Ron. You're done because you are sending us off the rails, and we were just about to close this thing down. So I'm sure, as Brian would like to say, subscribe to the YouTube channel and help us defeat the algorithms. Right, Brian?
That's correct. And comment on the videos. Like them, comment on them. That helps as well. So thank you.
All good things. I forget every other time, but then now when I see you here on the show, and I remember that you saying that. So
yeah, we're close to 1,000 subscribers too. So let's bump that up there and get us over 1,000.
That would be huge. That would be huge. But yeah, we're done, Ron. Just stop. But we're gonna get out of here. Looking forward to tomorrow's game. I don't think we'll have a show until Sunday tomorrow, unless somebody sparks up the idea and they want to go ahead and roll with it. I think one until Sunday for me is enough. I don't think I'll be on the Sunday show anyway, so I don't know why I'm saying that. But check out Cubs on Tap at Cubbies on Tap on Twitter, CUBBIES on Tap. You can follow Brian at LaFever. That's a tongue twister, correct, my friend. That's a tongue twister.
I mean, that's just so people know how to pronounce my name. I mean, that's kind of why I did it that way.
I get that too, because what do they want to say otherwise? Like Lefevre or something? They want to like
Brett Favre really ruined everything, so I get a lot of Lefevre.
Oh, fuck that guy.
Yeah. Fuck Brett Favre.
Mostly because
he's totally.
Oh, Bears-Packers. Bears-Packers, baby. Opening week of the NFL season. God damn it. I'm looking forward to it. Nick, you can follow Nick at Nick_on-tap. Follow the Bears guys. Bears on tap. All the Chicago sports. We got Bears, Bulls, Blackhawks, even the White Sox. Bets. We're gonna have a bets show maybe later tonight. Me and Beat on. We'll see. Don't know. He's off doing things right now. But I don't know. Who's your guys' football team? Like Nick, you're probably a Bears fan, right?
Bears. Yep, Bears.
Brian, I don't know. What's your football team?
Sad Cardinals fan right now. Sad Cardinals fan.
Yikes.
It's the tank. The tank is wide open, right?
Yeah. Well, we can go off on a whole other tangent about how I think the national narrative is wrong about the team, but that's just me.
So they're trying to win.
Do that here. Well, I'm just saying Jonathan Gannon took that job because he wanted a franchise QB already. He didn't want to start from scratch. So this Caleb Williams BS needs to stop.
All right. Fair. I do understand that. Yeah, there's a lot of weird national media narratives and stories that we're going to hear about for the next. And I thought it was crazy too, like seeing Mike Tirico, not to name a name, but I just did. Him saying something about, I know that was stupid, but him saying something about like there being an asterisk.
Oh, the asterisk
next to the Lions win. Like obviously we're Bears fans, but a win is a win. You don't look at the standings later on in the year and say, "Oh, the Lions won without Travis Kelce and Jones," and like, who cares? Yeah, we are off the rails. We're talking Cubs. We're getting back. We're getting out of here. Sorry. I hope everybody enjoys the NFL Sunday, though. I know I enjoyed Thursday, even though the Cubs lost. We could just talk and talk. Diamondbacks. All right, calm down, Brian. Calm down.
I fully expected to come into this series with a split, so you can have the next two, and I'd still be happy because that's all. I'm so happy. I'm happy to win the first two. Yeah, I don't expect to win tomorrow.
I'll throw this out there too. As soon as I saw Tyon versus Gallen, I'm like, this is gonna be a good one for you. Like I knew this was gonna be a good one for you, Brian. I did. That it was closer, way closer than I thought. But anyways,
yeah.
All right,
tomorrow's Harry Carey bobblehead day as well. That's also a big thing for tomorrow. So go get your Harry Carey bobbleheads.
Hopefully, somebody can sneak us one. I'd like one.
Yeah,
I want one. Tickets are over $100. I'm like, oh man.
Yeah, they're a little crazy. Nick, you want to spend that? You want to go to the game?
You know, I would. I'm going to see Ween tomorrow. I don't know if either of you know the band Ween, but I'm going to the Salt Shed to see Ween, and I'm very excited. It's kind of like a lifelong dream coming true. I love Ween.
You could do both.
Yeah, right? I could probably swing that.
Where's that going to be at?
Salt Shed,
he said.
Salt Shed. Oh, I missed that part. Okay,
Yeah.
Cool. Nice. Yeah, do both. Why not?
That'd be cool.
I have a friend who's selling 2 tickets, so let me know.
There you go. There you go. We got a plug right here. Yeah, we need to get out of here though, because I can't. We'll go another 20 minutes.
Joey and I will just keep talking.
Oh, for sure.
We've done it. I'm pretty sure me and Nick spent like an hour after last week's show. We were off the air and just spent like an hour talking. Can't do that tonight. I'm going to tell you guys right now. I'm hitting the button and I'm leaving. Eject those sales. See you guys later.
Go ahead.
But we are Cubs on tap. Brian, since you're here, Nick, you always know the drill. What do we say when we get on out of here? The only way we know how to do every single time.
Let's go D-backs.
Fuck the Cardinals.
Fuck, that was disgusting. Why did I even say? I shouldn't even have told you to say anything. Go Cubs.